Hey, friends, welcome to the Blathering. Episode 99, I do believe. And it's going to be an interesting one. I chose to do a show tonight on a Saturday, because I couldn't get to things this week. And, well, holy moly. Picked quite a night to go live. So, we're flying by the seat of our pants for episode 99 of The Blathered. If you're listening later on the podcast, thank you. But yeah. Yeah. So, if you're just, I can't imagine if you're tuning in, you're not on social media and seeing what's going on. I am having, reminiscing about, not in a great way, reminiscing of the night on a Saturday, I believe, in August of 1997, right? Time flies, where I was on air at a rock radio station, KBR 95, and was following along the death, I contend murder, of Princess Diana. Not in a conspiracy theory way, but just, that wasn't just a normal car crash. But now, here we are, and this is obviously breaking news. At a rally in Pennsylvania, gunshots went off. Trump was hit. Looks like on his right ear, temple area. Reportedly fine. Whisked away by Secret Service. Not before he put his hand up defiantly. Something that's already being spun into a rallying cry by his son and others. So this is breaking news that I'm trying to follow along, and we're not a news station here. I am not a expert on everything political and politically right now, but I am definitely interested, definitely follow along, and definitely think as someone who's a follower and fan and student of history, this is something that is history unfolding in front of you. Even if this is, I don't want to use the word minor, but in terms of injuries right now, we see think it's minor. And we also want to point out everything is fluid, and we'll get to that in a second. But this is I don't even know the words. Interesting, dangerous, just a thing that we need to get to. So yeah, but anyways, so following along as we go, as we get updates, I'm following AP News, CNN, BBC, just trying to get it all there and just kind of see what's going on. I'm not going to take calls on this necessarily, but we're going to see. Where did I say he was hit, Dr. Wargard? Well, I watched the video. The shots go out and he reaches for his ear and head and before the Secret Service pulls him down. So even if the initial report was he fell, could have, but it seems as though something happened before he hit the ground. We might be back on. Yeah, no, I know I lost sound. I got the notification. Let me know if I'm back on. Just also, it's really hot in. Oh, I see here. Let me just change this. Sorry, everybody. Live should be back now. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Sorry. I'm also having low internet problems. It's been an extra hot week in San Fernando Valley in Burbank, so that often affects our internet and what goes on there. So I apologize for anything that happened there. So anyways, like I said, and I have no plans for this. I was going to bring back the three things tonight. Maybe we'll do that a little bit later. I had the three things all queued up here. And I was going to talk about the question about Biden and the election, the passing of Richard Simmons, and Comic-Con memories. I had it all planned, but this is definitely something I want to I don't even know what to talk about. And I don't want to fearmonger. I don't want to, but this is already, you're seeing Don Jr. I mean, forget already. You're seeing Trump, was he's whisked by the Secret Service, trying to do what is, they're probably number one on their job list, on their job description. President down, get him to safety. And he's trying to raise his hand defiantly, and it's going to be one of those pictures. It's a Time Photo of the Year kind of bullshitty thing that's going to live on beyond the moment. And anything, if I say minor around this, I'm only saying because it's minor in terms of the injury and the result. And I'm trying to find out. There was apparently, again, when I say was apparently, look for that. I ain't a news source. I'm not a news source. I'm literally just going along with what I am getting from three. I'm trying to get three different news sources. CNN's just easy for me to access. BBC News to look at stuff around the world, and AP News as well. But there's different ways to look at that there. Thank you all for joining in, by the way. Dr. Warguard's here. Scotty Jarrow's here. Toy Mats is here. We got David McKay, JMB. Brennan Mah is here. Laserbolt checking in from the great state of Michigan. Albo's here. What a night. Yeah. Hillbilly Scribs is here as well. Joseph Thomas, I'm just saying hello to everyone. Says, yeah, this has been interesting the last 30 minutes. There's a surreal... Ken Plume says, but what Lunchables do you have in the freezer? Yeah, that's important. I had a good lunch planned. I had a good post-show dinner planned here tonight. This is, I think I'm just here to, again, I'm here. I'm not a news source. I'm not, I'm not Peter Jennings. I'm not Ted Koppel. I'm not even the character I used to play on SNN. Breaking News Live. That ain't me. But this is something worth just kind of living in and with right now. So anything I say is not factual. Anything I say is from perspective. Anything I say is something not only from news unfolding, but just wondering aloud. I do kind of fear already what the follow-up is, what the result is. Who was this shooter? What was the idea? Oh, I've been on Twitter long enough to already see the conspiracy theories. False flag operation, there's that. But, like Emperor Palpatine before him, Trump and his close associates, especially his son, Don Jr., have already got the posters. This will be on a T-shirt. And it will be at the next rally. Just like the mugshot. It'll be Trump's hand in the air, blood down his face on a T-shirt. They can't stop our God from saving America. That's what I already kind of fear is happening. But we don't want to deal with fear. You just want to deal with what's going forward, what's moving there. I agree with Scotty here. I agree with Corey. Says this is a scary moment. The political tensions are about to be an all-time high. Yes, because what this could inspire is something. That's the thing I'm afraid of. But none of that's a foregone conclusion. We can do our best to find those reasons on all sides of these kind of conversations and have them lead the situation. I'm sure Biden will come out with some sort of statement. The Democratic governor of Pennsylvania has already spoken and decried this. Naturally, any human with any kind of sense of humanity would decry this and say this is a needless, horrible act of violence. And I agree with that fully. This is not what we want, right? This is not what we want. So I'm curious, though, to see what emerges. What emerges in terms of this, the shooter, of what we know. I'm just scrolling along here. What even is up on my screen? Sorry. Support the Associated Press. Love to. Not right now. I still have my subscription to New York Times. I cancel it. I just don't know how. Prayers pour in from political rivals. Prayers, the things that really help. Thoughts and prayers. A lot of thoughts and prayers. Oh, the irony. Possible running mates express concern. Yes. Get in line. Who's the first to say the nice things? But I wouldn't expect anything else. Here it is. Trump's son posts photo of Trump bloody and fist raised. He'll never stop fighting to save America. There you go. That's the goddamn T-shirt that they're going to probably put together. I don't know what to do. I don't know what to think about that. This was already We were already in a foobar situation. Rich T says Trump put his mugshot on $2 last week. So, yep. And there's already just been such unreasoned responses on all sides of the coin over the last couple of weeks post-debate. I really wish the ads on these websites. You got to pay for things. I get it. I want AP News to get their ad money, but I'm trying to have a conversation here, and suddenly it's like, go to shop at Vaughn's, perfected the art of fresh. God bless you. All right. Thank you, Vaughn's. So, yeah, I don't know. I don't know what to say. What are your thoughts? Get your questions in. We'll get some calls here soon, but I'll be taking calls about this until I don't know. I got a lot of folks texting me in here. Yeah, and I just wish you could yell "calm down" to everybody. What was I going to talk about, Rich T? We'll get to it. I said up top, but we'll get to it there. Just love hanging out with you here. So, if you got questions, got super chats, you got Twitch things, we'll try to do it here. We'll try to have any kind of conversation that is somewhat normal here tonight. And I'm flummoxed in the sense of it's just your mind goes in 15 different directions at once. And I'll say it. I'm glad he's okay because I have a sense of humanity, right? I will say I'm glad he is okay at least at this point. He's being checked out. Who knows? I am not a violence begets violence type of person. It's not the way to go. I think I should say violence begets violence sounds very biblical, doesn't it? It's something that I fear, but violence ain't the answer. I ain't a Saw Gerrera. I ain't a Lutheran rail. We're just kind of playing along here. As I get the news, I got a call coming in here. I'll bring my buddy Ken in here, and maybe we'll have some fun conversations about food. I'm kidding. You guys are all doing great in chat. Thanks for hanging out. Welcome to Blather. Welcome back. I'm going to start doing more blatherings, not just we've got the Thursday show. 20 Minutes of Coffee is still ready to go. As a lot of you know, I've been working another job. Been on the road with Mark Ellis, too. Seattle was fun. We got San Diego coming up next, and then we got Little Rock, Arkansas after that. But working at my day job, so to speak, doing some writing and editing and researching over at the Y-Files. So it's been my mornings are very busy, along with Forciner as well. So I haven't been able to get 20 Minutes of Coffee, but I wanted to start doing more Blathering lives, and then we can cover more breaking news. I'm going to add to the show right now our buddy, Ken Plume, usually here to talk about some sort of food item, but maybe we'll go beyond that. Mr. Plume, how are you doing?
Hey, buddy, I'm here for the pivot.
Pivot.
Let's bring you back up to full screen, just to make it slightly less awkward.
Well, I gotta get the updates, man. I gotta figure out what's going on.
I mean, you can see them.
I want to find the shooting. I want to find the shooter. I've seen
magnifying glass out.
I've seen footage of them pull them off, of police pulling someone off there. So, anyways, how you doing, buddy? How you feeling about everything?
Oh, grand. Planning for dinner. Let's talk about dinner. You have a show tonight, don't you?
I do not. No, this was my show
That's
tonight.
Tomorrow night. Tomorrow you have a show.
Yeah, tomorrow I have a show here. Yeah, but all good. Had a show last night, a lot of fun. Late night show. Got home late.
I want to catch up on your food adventures because you were out of town recently.
No, I want to ask you about this.
I know you do. So know you do.
What goes through your mind when you see this? You're also
after years of various levels of news severity.
News severity is a great way to look at it.
Over the past 10 years. Let's just say 10 years.
10 years. Yeah.
I have come to the realization that the best thing that I can do is sit back and wait to actually see what happened.
Correct.
Certainly before I publicly comment on it. People are very smartly also advising people maybe to watch their jokes right now.
Oh yeah, this is when the social media, not even just
The
Twitter, but
impulse
everywhere.
to get a
The
solid
impulse. I am glad I'm not
line
on.
out there.
Yeah, I am glad I'm not on stage tonight because these are the the Tuesday nights shows a week after 9/11 where you heard a lot of stories of comics trying to go for the big laughs that were just inappropriate. Doesn't even cover. It's just like why? Yeah. Oh yeah. Tonight. You got comics in rooms right now scribbling down on pieces of paper their jokes.
It
About
takes a
things.
very special comic who can put in perspective current events, that are that skilled to take something that is a difficult line to walk and walk that
Mm-hmm.
line. And
Yeah.
the problem is too few comics understand that they're not that comic.
Oh yeah. Especially it's the lower rung. It's those clamoring to get to the top, who want to go right at it. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, I got a take on this. I got a
take.
line. I got a
Yeah.
line that was funny in the green room.
I got a line on you, babe. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah. Gallows humor. I always joke. Me and my roommates had some of our best jokes ever the morning of 9/11 because it was the only way we could comprehend it. It's the only way we could function. Glad it wasn't live streaming. You know what I mean? Just because
But that is what hanging around or phone calls with friends are about.
Yeah. Yeah.
Is when you have that circle around you where you can say the stupid things that come to your mind.
Do you remember your first big
moment.
Yeah, do you remember your first big breaking news? Do you remember your first big oh my gosh, what's happening, even if you didn't fully understand it?
I have some vague memories of this the Reagan.
Mm-hmm. That's my first one. Yeah.
So that was what, 81?
81, I believe. Yeah.
Yeah. I know it was very early in his first term.
Indeed, March 30th, 1981 in Washington, D.C.
So basically, just a few months after his inauguration.
Yeah, it was very
Super
close,
early.
right? Yeah, because election of 80 enshrined, if you will, in January-ish, right?
And then I have very solid memories of the Saturday Night Live take on that.
Well, which is an old-timer.
A few years later.
Yeah, and the key word being a few years later.
Yeah,
you could assassinate.
It didn't lead off their next show with that.
Yeah. That's the thing about the timely humor. Like I started doing the news on Anytime, and I was really excited to finally take my previous style of news reporting to the world at large with Anytime, and then I just life changed really fast for me in terms of my employment, and I couldn't put the time and energy into it. But Anytime, there's been times in the past I was like, oh, I'm going to do news comedy. Finally, I'm going to do it. I'm going to lean in, do my own weekend update. And then something horrible's happened. And I was like, you know what? Maybe I don't need to talk about it. Maybe I'm good. Maybe go back to talk about Del Taco.
Yeah, the world's trying to tell you something.
Yeah.
Maybe the universe just loves your food talk. Trying to steer you towards that.
The numbers don't lie. They don't.
Don't you want to be a lifestyle blogger? Don't you want to?
I might be doing food reviews. I have a friend, Erin Robinson, used to work at Defy, the Clever channel. She does a lot of like goes to fast food places, gets 10 items and review it. And I was like, I don't want to do 10 items. I want to live, but I could be a food in a car guy.
You've been eating at Jack in the Box your entire life?
Yeah.
You've been eating at Del Taco your entire life?
Mm-hmm.
Are there any items off those menus you've never touched?
You really want to talk about food on the day this second attempt happened? No.
Here's the thing. I know once I'm gone from this, others will have it. Everyone's there. Yes. I'm giving you the respite before the storm.
I don't need a respite. This is great. Yeah, there's several things. I only order one or two items. Once I find them, I zero in on them. I don't want to waste. I don't waste my time.
You strictly familiarity if you're not willing to take that risk.
Yeah. It's not. Something will pop up, but once I find, if there's that's an interesting taco, then you get it, and you're like, I really would have been happy with what I get every time. I do like some adventure in food, and slowly over time, I'll venture out to some other thing. Japanese food was a early one, like, I don't know, it seems scary, and then it's not scary, it's wonderful. So it just takes me a little bit of time.
So sort of the flying of food.
The flying of food?
Well, flying was also not high on your list of something to do.
Sorry. Yeah. Oh, 100%. Well, that was economics, but fear and not knowing how to navigate it, just the act of flying, not the actual flying of the plane, but the act of doing it. Yeah, then once I conquered that, but even then, I have a routine, right? That's how I battle my anxieties. I have a check mark mentally of the airport, get to curb, get to gate.
You do your sweep. You do, then you move in.
Yeah.
You get to gate. You position yourself.
Yep. Then I feel like I can navigate it easier.
Any news updates? I see you looking. I see you.
I'm getting a ton of texts. Yeah. I'm getting a ton of texts.
Are most of them just? Did you see this?
See this? Worry? No gallows humor. I think the biggest thing for me is a worry of what follows. We're not dealing with a reasoned fan base of their god. So
there's certainly a concern about stability when it comes to contextualizing.
Yeah. Being able to pull back and see the big picture. Yeah.
And also the fact that I'm sure that fundraising emails are already being crafted around the Vince McMahon-esque photo moment.
Yeah. No, I mean, bonkers on it. I almost want to call it genius because it's so bonkers. Like, it's almost like, yeah, of course you would. Of course you'd do that. Of course you put that hand in here. Of course you would. Going back to the early news things, though, were you I was aware of the Lennon assassination, but I didn't know what was going on. I was still very young there, but by a year later or so, with actually not long, a few months, right? December 1980 to March 1981. A little bit more wiring connected in my brain. Watched the newscast with my parents all night. The one with the Sam Donaldson and the anchor getting upset and all that. Like I had remembered, and I was terrified by it. So any breaking news, that logo would pop up and interrupt my cartoons. My anxiety would have shifted into high gear as a kid. Like, oh, this is it. The nukes are launched.
Well, I mean, that was also before 24-hour news cycles. So all we got were those nightly news updates or newspaper headlines, which, we weren't of an age for most of that we could read yet. The early stuff. So it was just, how are the adults around us responding to this?
Yes. I think that's where I picked it up. Yeah, my mom picked me up from school crying because the Challenger incident, which I did not watch live. I think we were trying to in the room or something. I didn't have, but I definitely did not see it live. But my mom picked me up from school, and that's how I saw that lens of that one there. But yeah, I still, and again, living next to a nuclear power plant. And having the Cold War nuclear apocalypse fears over us,
knowing that you were on a list, you were a number on that list somewhere.
We were a number on that list. I mean, Diablo Canyon, which is still going at least right now.
Well, I certainly thought that living on military installations.
Yeah, absolutely. Did your parents explain what was going on? I don't remember being explained anything.
I don't remember parents being explainers in that era.
Laserbolt says one of my oldest memories, earliest, and if you want to look at it that way, is Elvis dying. Yeah. Okay. 77, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
That would be something.
Taking the spotlight away from Groucho.
Was that the connection? Was that the day?
I think it was either the day or bumped right up against it. So it was sort of like, Groucho. Oh, wait, but Elvis. It's all going to be Elvis.
Yeah, Elvis. That's the thing.
They were both in fall of 77, right?
So August 77 for Elvis. God, he was only 42. That's crazy. Groucho, August 19th, 77. So Elvis had a little lead up, but he was going to win that.
But he was clearly overshadowed.
Yeah, he was going to be overshadowed.
You're not gonna cut from Elvis singing to like, well, now a clip of Lydia the Tattooed Lady.
Yeah,
you remember Groucho by.
Well, even look, I had some thoughts. I was going to talk about Richard Simmons today. All right, so we're getting some updated. Okay, we're getting updated. The shooter is dead, and another rally member was killed. This is from Associated Press here. So breaking news. We'll get to that in a second there. As we go back to tacos.
I can guarantee that probably one person involved in this in a prominent fashion is probably not going to care in the least about what happened to anyone else there.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Trey T's with you. It says, mine's remembering the wheeling in the TVs to watch the Challenger in elementary school. Yeah, that's still.
See, I didn't. Here's the way and I don't. Do you remember how the Challenger thing happened with you? Do you remember the circumstances of that day?
No, I don't remember the details of it. Now I've watched every documentary imaginable of it, but no, I was kind of aware there was a contest. I remember the news of, Kristen McAuliffe won, and that's it. And then my mom picked me up early from school that day. That was the only thing I knew.
I remember very clearly being in class, 3rd grade, Mrs. Mitchell, and all the TVs were on carts. TVs had to be wheeled in from the media center to the classrooms.
Yep.
And I remember we had the TV in the room because we were all supposed to watch it. That was the big thing. We were going to have the live coverage. And she couldn't get it working. And by the time she got it, and we're all worried about, we're going to miss it. We're going to miss it. By the time she got it working, it was just Walter Cronkite with a model.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. I remember that footage.
Talking about, and then a knock came at the door of another teacher.
Oh, yeah.
Who called our teacher out into the hallway, and we're all like, well, why are they talking with a model? why are we saying
where's the real one?
lunch?
Yeah, God. Yeah, and you don't know.
Nothing like an awkward moment of seeing a teacher come back in, like, I don't know how to talk to these damn kids about this. Hey, recess.
Yeah, no.
But instead, there wasn't that.
The
teacher was, and she was a great teacher. I don't remember in any way her being comforting of like trying to, it was basically everyone just stared in silence as the full recap of what happened.
That's the thing too, yeah, that's the thing. If I'm not a parent, obviously, but it's like, you have to, the incident happens, and now we're in the 24-hour news cycle, but even then, that was starting to emerge, and it's just the constant, I guess then it would be okay to pull them away, right? That's when you pull the kids away. Like, so you don't see the trauma over and over.
Or turn the TV off and go back to like a lesson, or, hey, let's just have talking time.
Trey T says, but we also didn't get to talk about our feelings. Yeah.
What are feelings?
What are feelings? Feelings. Yeah, a lot of people talk about their earliest memories. 9/11 comes up for a lot of folks. Yeah, that's ingrained in all of our souls. But a lot of people talk about Princess Diana. Like I said at the top of the show, I was on air. Now I know the accident happened earlier in the day on the West Coast time, but and I don't remember how I followed it because I had internet, but it was like at the front. So I might have been getting updates from the computer at the front of the office, but it wasn't like getting updates on a phone. No one was texting me. Didn't have any of that.
This is 97.
97, right? Yeah. And we had...
I'm trying to think what news services were even online at that point.
It would be very hard. Yeah, no, I'm trying to remember where, because maybe someone called the station. I don't know.
I mean, you were at a station. You were probably getting it off the wire.
We did have a fax machine that would send stuff in. So I'm trying. My memory is blank on that.
AP bulletins. I know our local radio station would have the AP bulletins that would come out.
You get
over the fax or the updates.
Rich T says Yahoo, maybe AOL News. Yeah,
because you also had news writers at the stations at that time that would write the news reports.
Yes,
or give you the copy.
Now it's probably just an AI update,
or just someone reading off a web page, going, "Oh, I guess this is what's happening."
Yeah, it said, yeah. But I do remember that. I was, here I am playing, 1997 rock and roll, Space Hogs, new STPs playing, and then I have to break in, and I was 20.
And what time was that for you? 11?
I remember my shift was like till 10 o'clock. So I want to say it was like in the 8 or 9 o'clock hour. Someone would have to fill in the actual details, but it was later in my shift. And I've been following it, and I think I'd mentioned it. And again, this is a small town, but I'm 21 years old, and I didn't know, I obviously, again, had grown up with a lot of these, you're talking about Cronkite, Brokaw, Jettings, and I just was like, I guess I've got to do that. I guess I've got to break in and say Princess, Diana is dead. Like I had to do it. I'm like a squeaky 21-year-old kid, like
record scratch.
I'm gonna let you all know And I'm sure in someone's memory, there's like, oh, my first, I was listening to KBR 95 and some guy broke in and told me that Lady Diana had died. So yeah, I was part of someone's memory. Unfortunately, I apologize to that person.
It's the same gravitas you brought to playing the Elton John Candle in the Wind just a few months later. That must have made it into the playlist.
I don't think. Well, we did play Elton John, but my program director at the time, he wasn't that sentimental. I don't know if he would have, but it seems like we would have lost out on some ratings if we didn't play it. So I don't.
Yeah, I'm sure the requests were there.
Yeah.
To honor the People's Princess, could you please play Elton's new Candle in the Wind?
Yeah, absolutely. Trey T says, love the Del Taco Kid voice. Yeah, the Del Taco Kid voice is me on radio. I have a bag of sound clips that are from that era.
Del Taco doesn't have a deep menu. You got to be able to finish that. I really want you to at some point finish the Del Taco menu.
Finish that. That'll be my life's legacy, right?
Yeah.
I went through every ad, but they change it. There's already things long gone, so I'd have to pick a time.
Tell them you want a sponsorship. Tell them you want to go through. You want to be the guy who does the Del Taco podcast.
I want to be the guy who dies at the end of it.
Every episode is a different item.
Yeah, it'd be an ongoing series.
The thing you need is another show.
Yeah, no. Well, that's the thing. I thought of the idea and then was like, well, I need to get my camera mount for my car broke. It doesn't work. It doesn't stick at all to my new car. And I tried to tape, Velcro, put all it, and it just falls over every time. So I have to get a new one. So once I get enough money to get a new one, then I'll think about what I want to do in my car. Question every man and woman and person should ask themselves at some point. What do you want to do in your car?
I just love this jerry-rigged camera mount setup you would have driving around eating food.
Yeah, because I had a good one. It was solid. It was a rock solid, phone holder, and I could turn it vertical, horizontal, have a good time with it, and shooting a lot of those non-reviews, and then it just stopped working, man. I don't believe in the technology of suction. I don't think it's I
don't think it's reliable enough.
It's not a reliable technology. Suction.
I also don't want a $1,000 phone connected to it.
Right. Yeah. You're driving, suddenly boogling falls in your lap. You spill your coffee. Yeah. Anytime I get something that says like, oh, just stick it to the bathroom wall, your shower holder. Nah, it doesn't work.
No.
The suction goes.
Don't put a mirror. Don't put a glass mirror on that in a shower.
Yeah.
That's how accidents happen in movies.
Rich T is in chat. He's done some good work. Yahoo News launched August 1996. So that was leased around. AOL is still around. So, AOL could, I think, we didn't have AOL at the station. That I don't know. That I know. So I was probably getting some updates from Yahoo News and The Wire on the Princess Diana.
But AOL still would have been dial-in at that point, right?
Yeah, but we had it at the radio station. So we had internet. We had an early stream. Yeah, we had an early streaming. You could hear our radio station via our website. It was an early
Real Player.
Something. It was and we hired some guy. Probably paid him $5,000 to make the web. Heady days of 1997 in the internet.
That was obsolete within a year.
Yeah. And now people in chat bringing up their old email addresses. Vermont Mike says, no shame, I still have my Yahoo, because Rich said he still has his AOL. I don't think I still have access to that, but Rich says, no shame, or Vermont Mike says, no shame, I still have my Yahoo email. I still have my Yahoo, and I actually activated it, and Yahoo had a great app that I downloaded on my phone not 6 months ago, where you could just get news, email, everything. It was wonderful, and it went away. Done, gone. It's a shame.
I mean, that's the way of anything that's useful.
Yep. Right.
In this world we live in.
Right.
Do you still? So the Yahoo account's still active? Do you still get mail to it?
Yep, still do. I don't check it, and I went in and this is like 2 years ago. I think I got a notification like, hey, you're gonna lose this jack wagon, and so I went in and updated everything, and I had 2,000 or so messages waiting. None of them important, but I still have my my Hotmail. I still have that as a backup.
Got your ICQ number?
I got I don't know. It's Microsoft Outlook's been made so difficult to get into that thing. I have to change it every few years.
So you were an AOL person, or were you a CompuServe or Prodigy?
AOL. Prodigy was the first thing in the 80s. My friend's dad had Prodigy. That's where I first learned of the Al Gore's internet, but DARPA's internet, actually. But I was AOL. Yeah, absolutely, for a long time.
I don't think I got AOL until 93, 92.
Oh, you were even earlier.
But I was on bulletin boards.
Yeah. So didn't do any of that. Didn't surf the web regularly till like 96, 97.
No, this was dialing into people's private servers.
Sounds safe.
It was really safe.
Yeah, Trey T says Netscape. I used Net Zero after I left. I think I still have my AOL Messenger, but I left it and I went to Net Zero. And then the day Net Zero started to charge $9.99, I thought the world was ending. Now, whew, I wish.
By then you would get the. That's when Roadrunner was coming on the scene. And do you remember when there were thousands of local ISPs?
I wouldn't understand it if it did, but yeah, yeah.
Well, I used to do internet installations. I've told you that.
Yeah. No, we used to, in our town, we had our local guys. Yeah, you had different. Yeah, you're right. I mean, I got I know they're not a regional local, but like Singular Wireless was my first cell phone plan, and then AT&T bought it.
Slowly got gobbled up.
I've been AT&T ever since. Kids.
And yet, no advertising for you.
No advertising. I don't get the advertising. Oh,
we're going to get you Del Taco. We're going to get you Del Taco.
If I couldn't get 7-Eleven at the height of schmoes, when they gave someone else who tweeted about it once and they gave her free ice cream and I got nothing, that's when I gave up hope. That's the day I gave up hope.
Did you see that news about the Japanese 7-Eleven holders buying the U.S. outlets?
No. They're bringing the Japanese 7-Elevens here, finally?
Yeah, all the Japanese snacks, all the Japanese fresh food preparation. Now you can eat healthy at 7-Eleven.
Yeah, I mean, you can eat. There's some healthy stuff there now. I don't get it. I don't want it, but it's there.
Anything's fine in moderation.
That's good. See, that makes me feel better for not going to Tokyo. Tokyo will come here.
Is Tokyo definitely not happening, or it just seems unlikely?
I don't want to go. Yeah, I don't want to do it this year. So, or next year.
Oh,
so for me, it's done. But unless job situation changes fast. But JMB says today's segment of How Depressingly Old Are You brought to you by Ken N and Ken P. Yeah.
I was trying to pivot. I tried so hard to pivot. I was here for the pivot.
I didn't want to pivot. I didn't want to pivot. I want to dive in. Let's do it. Let's talk about it.
Doing a Curb episode now. Where I tried to pivot and you don't want it.
I don't want it. I don't want it. I don't want it. I don't want it. I want to go right.
I'm sure there are updates on the situation. It does
yeah,
not
I mean, but
seem
see,
like
now
it's getting any brighter.
Yeah, I mean, we got 2 dead, including the shooter. At least, again, I always say, even that could be unconfirmed. Yeah, even confirmed, that can change, and that could be something else. But that's what's being reported, and you know that, Ken. We were talking about that off air before we even started here tonight. But yeah, then what's happening now is everyone is coming in with what I would say are the appropriate, necessary, but somewhat predictable, unacceptable type of things. So that's what's kind of the updates right now. Everyone's weighing in. The only one, Gabby Gifford's weighed in. She would absolutely have the right to weigh in with some authority, unfortunately, on this horrible situation. So. And, good news. Eric Adams says New York City will increase police presence. Awesome. Good for that. Thanks, Eric.
Oh, yeah, that's proper response.
Thanks, Eric.
And yet, what's the NRA statement on it right now? Because
I'm waiting. What's Tom Selleck got to say? What's Tom Selleck said? Ranger Donald says, my uncle was the guy you called to get internet and cable installed. He was definitely not legal to anything.
Listen, all getting internet meant at that time was
that's all
you had a phone line.
That's all of it. You just need a phone line and a will and a way.
You install that Internet Explorer or Netscape Navigator on their systems.
Yep. Absolutely.
They were good to go.
Good to go.
Teach them how to use that internet. Go to websites.
Use Alta Vista. I think someone in chat said, remember when Alta Vista was the top search engine? That was there.
Teach them what a backslash is.
Yeah. That's how he's, teach him how to do the old C prompt Commodore 64 load.
Oh, do you know how many service calls were just people mistyping a website and not understanding why it wasn't working, and it was just a typo?
I saw an IT guy. I got into IT threads or Twitter or social somewhere. I can't remember what it was. And someone posted, why are all IT guys a-holes and blah, blah, blah. And, I understand that. I've experienced that. But then a guy responded, he goes, IT guy here, because I've had to drive 3 hours for a service call to turn on a button that was sworn to have been pressed 3 times before. So sorry for being grumpy that I had to go
or just the asking of the baseline simple, did you turn it off and turn it back on?
Yeah.
And them saying it repeatedly, yes, 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 and they had not.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I
also learned a valuable lesson in that time that clever does not always equal smart. Because the company that I worked for had the genius idea of calling their company Internet. Internet with no I. So it's Internet. So the
Internet.
And it was internet.net was the URL. So people would give out their email addresses. And they say, I'm not getting any email. And people misheard it as internet.net as the email address.
Yep.
And so, again, valuable lesson. Just because you can be clever, think about where that cleverness may lead.
This has happened with me recently. I had an email, not even secondary, like a 5th, 8th level depth chart email address that began with email. And the amount of times that you would just get people sending the email to just the back part of that name, which I understood. So it's been changed. It was just one of those, email info at, whatever it was. So they would just write info. Like, no, it's email info at, but lesson learned. Like you said, don't make it too cute or try to make it too convenient. If it's
only others could learn that lesson.
Put an obstacle. Yeah.
You know what? The world would be a better place if everyone learned all the lessons we have already.
Absolutely, indeed. Absolutely, indeed. All right, Mr. Plume, I got a call queued up. I'm going to get to it. Thank you for trying to pivot. I appreciate your effort.
Good luck. Godspeed. You know what? I'm here if you need the pivot.
If you need the pivot, indeed. Mr. Plume there. Oh, also, you just launched a new show, right? It's coming, right?
Yes. It's called Just a Few Things. So it combines the conversations I'd have with Bit of a Chat and Force 5. So it's basically a non-Star Wars specific show where I have people come on and talk about some items in their collections that they really love for special reasons. Beautiful. Talk about that, just have a general conversation. So that's launching soon on the YouTube channel with Dan Schreiber from QI and No Such Thing as a Fish. And some great books on conspiracies and the people who come up with those conspiracy theories.
I love that. Love studying that. Love studying that.
Go check it out.
All right. Follow Mr. Plume, everybody. He's right there in chat. You can hit that name and then subscribe to his wonderful channel. I'll see you later, I'm sure, sir.
Pivot.
Bye. All right. We also got in chat. Got Brennan. Brennan's calling in, and we'll get Brennan in here shortly. But I brought his name up there. I want to highlight the angel among angels, Robbie Smith, my co-host on the show that is, not done yet. It's not done yet. Our biggest win with Ken and Robbie. We have another period of time where we have to kind of catch up on a lot of things, and we're going to do that when the time is right. Robbie went through another series of, shall we say, obstacles. And he is on the road to recovery, and I love him dearly. And Robbie is an angel walking amongst us. So, Robbie, thanks for being in chat, and I absolutely agree with your idea. Hillbilly says the chat just got a big win. Robbie says, I prefer to use stamps. This is a fact. I think in the time I've known Robbie, he's probably sent me 5 or 6 like handwritten letters or cards or packages, and I think once even an air fryer. And he does it the old-fashioned way. And the envelopes show up with stickers in them and on them, little glitter. They're everything you'd want from a letter from Robbie Smith. So, Robbie, love you. Thank you for being here. Says, yes, I need my filler to settle. We all need our filler to settle. Questions come in. If you got a question about anything, it's not just talking about what went down tonight at the Trump rally in Pennsylvania, though it is very much on my mind because I think this is a very volatile and historic situation, unfortunately. Not good any way you look at it. And it brings up a lot of feelings like we were talking about with Ken, things in the past and trying to process things in real time. When history, I always talk about those pop culture awakening moments where, the world is, is the past, and then eventually it's the present unfolding in front of you when you reach that 10, 11, 12, where you have a real connection to pop culture and the news and the world in the world in front of you. And it's processing things in real time is fascinating to me, but also it can leave a mark, man. All right, Dr. Wargard says local DA has confirmed the shooter's death there. Just bonkers every way you look at it there. Thank you for that update, Dr. Wargard. Dr. Wargard had a question I was going to answer. I think I will answer here, but I think I don't know. I was going to talk about Biden and where I feel we're at and what I feel about the election right now on the Democrat side. And I don't necessarily know if it's all changed, but I think definitely a lot has changed. Like this is going to be a factor in a lot of potentially problematic, troubling ways. So we'll see. But there we go. Before we get to that, JMB says for sure. I just remember the fall of the Soviet Union and the wall coming down. I want to recommend again because that was 89. The wall comes down. I learned about that on Saturday Night Live. I was in the news in the background, but I didn't sit and watch evening news a lot then. I was collecting baseball cards and hanging out in my room reading Star Wars novels or whatnot. And big fan of Saturday Night Live. And it was Dennis Miller on Weekend Update who talked about it and wall come down and the crowd cheering. I was like, oh, that sounds pretty big. I want to recommend again, absolutely want to recommend again, the Turning Point, The Bomb and the Cold War, 9-part docuseries on Netflix. They also did the Turning Point 9/11. I think that was 9 parts as well, which starts from 9/11 and it starts before, goes 9/11, goes into Afghanistan and all that kind of stuff. It's one of my favorite docuseries. It is, in fact, I was so frightened, and I got my Ukraine hat came today. I just ordered my Ukraine hat. Just because it covers the entirety of the Cold War, goes from the bomb in 45, and then stretches out to now. It goes to the invasion of Ukraine, goes to Putin now. But there's stuff about the wall falling, stuff about the Soviet Union falling. I knew Putin was a KGB agent, and he was a Midland one. He wasn't like a standout. But he was not a standout. He was in Dresden, East Germany, when the wall fell, and was working that night. He is of the Moscow is silent moment in history there, where the Soviet troops working in East Germany and Soviet agents did not know what to do, and there was thoughts of acts of violence against the East Germans crossing and breaking through the wall at this point because the wall fell because of a clerical error. Was the plans and all that stuff might have been in place, but literally at the press conference, the guy, forget his name, but the spokesman was kind of like, I guess now, and it wasn't actually the case, so the word hadn't got out. Fascinating. It's all covered in this doc, but Putin was there. Putin was there, and he's never forgotten that. Never forgotten the fall of the Soviet Union. So it's fascinating series. Watch that docuseries. Trey T says, Ken's documentarian. Ken's documentary recommendations all kick ass. Thank you. Dr. Wargood says, is it Ken Burns level good? Yeah. Oh, yeah. The Turning Point series usually are. This one's a different feel. It doesn't have a narrator. It doesn't have that kind of pull back all the time. It cuts back and forth. between what's going on in Ukraine and the invasion of Ukraine and Putin in present day, and it cuts back and forth all the way through. But it's the early one, the first episode about the bomb itself, harrowing. It's something. Yeah, it's really good. And Corey says something I agree with. The doc is truly awesome. From the history so fascinating. You just made a lot of mistakes about. Oh yeah, all the way through. Even when there's good intentions, a lot of mistakes were made, including on Gorbachev's side and stuff that, again, history that was happening in front of me, but I didn't know the details of. It's fascinating. There we go. I want to say, Rich T, thanks for saying kind words on the Force Center live stream. We had a lot of fun yesterday, and he says a live Force Center every other week would be fun. Yeah, we think it would be fun too. We're just trying to sync some schedules up and look ahead, but I think it's actually something we want to explore as well. If you're just joining me, if you're just hanging out, this is the Blathering Live. We do this usually every Thursday. But tonight is obviously Saturday, and picked quite a night to go live. And we are working through, processing live the incident, now we can say deadly incident at the Trump rally in Pennsylvania not too long ago, not too long before we went on air. We're processing that live. We're talking about any memories you might have of your first news story, your first breaking news story. Call in. By the way, if you want to call in, there's two ways to do that. I haven't said that a lot tonight, but YouTube channel members get to call in. There's a post that has the link. Or if you're a Patreon supporter at patreon.com/catnapsock, you get the link in there as well, or my Discord, which you can access there as well. We've got our friend Brennan calling in right here, right now. Brennan is one of our regular callers. How you doing, buddy? What's on your mind tonight?
I'm here to pivot.
Yeah, you pivoters. I want to charge right at it. Let's go. What do you got, Brennan? Hit me.
It's interesting that I just want to say up top that violence against anyone is wrong.
Absolutely.
Just throwing that out there.
Yep, absolutely.
That's
full endorsement from me. But, full endorsement.
We're talking, food, as our buddy Ken Plume is talking.
Mm-hmm.
So, I definitely, the next time I'm in Burbank, the smokehouse, I think, is definitely a destination that I really want to check out.
You got to get to the smokehouse. You got to get to the smokehouse.
Your recommendation, of course.
Yeah. It's
and who knows? Maybe next year I'll be like, "Hey Ken, can you meet me at the smokehouse?"
You get it. You tempt me with the cheese toast. It's hard to turn down. It's my favorite for a reason. Yeah. And talking about not being adventurous, that is a restaurant that I have found what I like. There's only a couple things I order differently each time, but the cheese bread, the wedge salad, and a rum and coke, and the entree switches in and out. So you won't be disappointed.
What's your favorite entree?
There is a chicken piccata I like. There is if I'm there during lunch. There's just a good old simple like tri-tip sandwich, and there's also their fish and chips. If I'm midday, I don't do fish and chips later in the evening. All right, kids, I don't do that. That's a midday for me.
It's a midday. Okay. I mean, I love fish and chips. I mean, personally.
It was a thrill to do it in London. I didn't do the proper fish and chips at a pub. I had it at a restaurant, but it still counted for me.
Okay, yeah, because they are the real deal over there. Yes,
they are indeed.
Yeah. So how's how hot has it been around there lately, down where you are?
It's been normally hot. I know the rest of the world and the country is experiencing record-setting heats that which should be concerning, but we are normal here. But it's been our hottest week. We're finished up. I mean, you can see the sweat is glistening on my face.
Yeah,
here, so
your beautiful face. Yes.
Thank you, Brendan. I got a new skincare product I've been trying out this week. It's just it's a cheaper version of something I had before, so I'm not confident in it right now, but I appreciate it.
Yeah, we've had 10 days of heat advisory warning.
Yeah,
100 degrees. Today is 10 degrees cooler.
It is a little cooler today.
In fact, it's supposed to be 10 degrees cooler this week. So It was like nearly 100 this last 10 days.
Yeah.
This next week it's going to be mid-80s.
Yeah, it's going to cool down, and then
So
hopefully
we're all
I got
very, very happy about that.
I got to check. I should do it right now. I got to check that weather for San Diego because that's where I'll be the week after next. And there, go ahead, Brian.
Well, 2 years ago, was record-breaking heat. It got to the hottest it's ever been in San Jose. 113 degrees. I remember it was September 6th, and we lost power.
Yeah, so hot.
In the afternoon, and so we were roasting, but thankfully, when the sun went down, there was a nice breeze, so we went outside and just went, oh, this feels nice. But
a good breeze. I take the Chihuahua outside.
Yeah, it was my dad's idea after that.
Love it.
That we get solar, so that if there's a power outage, because as you can imagine,
just rely on the sun.
A power outage would not be good for me.
Yeah, I gotta, you know.
My life support equipment is dependent on electricity.
Yeah. I mean, I'm not even asking.
I don't want to alarm people by saying.
Well, I don't want to ask you in jest, Brennan, but like, you got battery backup power ready to go. Like, that would be something that would be concerned.
We have, all kinds of stuff.
Yeah. That.
When I say life support, I don't mean on the way out. But,
sure, but it's not something. It's not going to be a good afternoon.
Yeah, it would not be a good afternoon without it. We have the generator, just in case.
Good. If you didn't have one,
batteries and
if you didn't have one, I think we would all be driving one up to you right now because we want to make sure you're always
party. I mean,
throw a party, throw a generator party.
I guess the last thing I'm going to ask is, what's your favorite non-alcoholic beverage?
My favorite non-alcoholic beverage. You know what? It changes a lot. I go through weird. I'm back on my swoon thing, which is this zero sugar, allegedly. Who knows what the labels really are. Peach iced tea. I really love that. It's because I went to an outlet center, Brennan. This is the most exciting part of my life. I went to an outlet center. Normally I get a 12-pack for about $40 with shipping. $6. $6, Brennan. Isn't that the most exciting news?
Well, compared to other news today.
Yeah. It changes for me, though. It changes. I go through moods.
I'm kind of boring. I'm a caffeine-free Diet Pepsi kind of guy.
That'll work. I had a big Diet Pepsi phase. Yeah, little lemon in it.
A lemon wedge. I mean, there you go.
Yep. I got a lemon. I got lemon spray, lemon juice or whatever. Sprayed it into the water here today.
We got some pretty good food out here. So if you're ever in San Jose, just hit me up. And
there you go.
Go out to eat.
We'll get an awesome blossom. Brennan, thank you, buddy, for checking in as always. Stay cool out there. It sounds like I'm signing your yearbook, but stay cool.
My only parting news would be: remember, your focus determines your reality.
There you go. Good stuff, Brennan. Thank you, buddy.
Thank you, Ken.
All right, Brennan Mah, everybody, check out his podcast, Page Turners. They were not. If you want to hear more of what Brennan has to say about Star Wars and sometimes even beyond Star Wars there. Checking in for updates if you just tuned in live. I'm going to talk about Richard Simmons here shortly, too, because he passed away. And I do want to take a moment to talk about Richard Simmons, an interesting, wonderfully intriguing, memorable character in my life as a young pop culture kid, the 80s. There you go. So, yeah, confirming as best we can say. Wow, okay. This was deleted, but the Trump campaign, you're probably seeing something. The Trump campaign senior advisor, Chris LaSavita, responded to the shooting with a post on X, formerly called Twitter, still called Twitter by everyone else. Well, of course, they tried to keep him off the ballot. They tried to put him in jail, and now you see this, later deleted. Dumb shit behavior. And that's going to be happening all day long, if not week. And that stuff's got to be confronted head on. Biden has released a statement saying he's grateful Trump is doing well and no place was kind of violence in America. Again, nothing that I would say would be unexpected from political candidates and political people and personalities and politicians. You know what I mean. Obama, this is absolutely no place for political violence. Nothing too out of the normal for those statements. It's what I expect. But yeah, so now we can say the shooter was engaged by members of the U.S. Secret Service counter-assault team and killed, according to 2 officials who spoke on the condition of anonymity, discussing ongoing investigation. Public, yeah, it's ongoing here. Yeah, a secret. I have a tiny sliver of experience with working with the Secret Service. Back in 04. Was it 04? Gee, 20 years ago. Get out of here. With John Kerry and John Edwards running. John Edwards came to the farmers market there in Fairfax, did kind of a little thing, waving, meeting people, pressing the flesh. And as a security director at the time, I got to interface with the Secret Service. And it's fascinating. It's fascinating to watch in action. And it's a fascinating agency. Rich T says, I don't know if you knew who Monty Kiffin was. I did. He was defensive coordinator for the Bucks and the idiot Tony Dungy, and he helped create the Tampa 2. He passed away today, too. Yeah, I did see that. Father of Lane Kiffin there. Yes, so rest in peace, Monty Kiffin. And rest in peace, Richard Simmons as well. I'll bring this story up here. Passed away at 76, a fitness guru who mixed laughs and sweat. I am a Richard Simmons fan. I am sad to see this news, and I know he'd been out of the public eye essentially since 2014. There's little burbles here and there. A comedy friend of mine, Jake Lewis, had just made a short film with am I still live? Not live on Twitch right now. Hold on, everybody. Interrupted my thought here. We're back live. Okay, sorry. After we lost connection here, I think I had some issues on Twitch. Mike Fink says I worked Secret Service at Kennedy Center. Yeah, they're fascinating. Rich T says, why? I have to ask why idiot Dungy? Yes, generally. Tony Dungy is a homophobic bigot. He has said some of the dumbest things and most painful, hurtful things about the queer community. He is donated to some horrible organizations that go against the queer community. I do not like Tony Dungy at all, and hope he fades into the sunset, retires, and never is seen again on air. And I got really upset at his stance in some of the Taylor Swift stuff. He was one of the ones who were like, she's distracting the game. Nah, not at all, Tony. That's not the problem. So. So he can go to hell in my book. But Richard Simmons, going back to someone who I hope is on a throne in heaven right now. Richard Simmons emerges on the scene around the time, I don't have the exact details of when he first started doing a show and all that kind of stuff, but he starts emerging on the scene with his aerobics show, the fitness craze of the early 80s, the Let's Get Physical era, the Jane Fonda workouts, and Richard Simmons. And Richard Simmons was popular in my home. My mom watched the show a lot. So I have early memories of just watching this chaotically positive fitness guru with, as a kid, the weird hair and the weird shorts and all of it. And I loved his appearances on Letterman, though. As much as I loved Dave, there was maybe a little bit, Richard expressed some kind of frustration, disappointment in how he was handled both on air and off by Letterman and his crew. But they were memorable appearances for me. I just today watched the clip. It's going around. I watched the clip going around of Richard Simmons, I think it was from 2011, on Whose Line Is It Anyway? And Colin Mockery and Ryan Stiles are two of the funniest human beings ever to walk the earth. Wayne Brady, love as well. I want to make sure there's no shade against Wayne Brady. He's talented as well. Just there's something different about Colin Mockery and Ryan Stiles and the level they perform at as improvers. And they were in the scene with Wayne Brady and Richard Simmons. I don't remember when Simmons did this appearance, 2011, but I don't remember watching it or knowing about it at the time. And this clip, I was dying laughing today. It was amazing. And Colin Mockery used it in his tribute to Richard Simmons on social media. I highly recommend you all go find it. It was so funny. But I was starting to say before I got off, my pal in comedy, Jake Lewis, did a short film with Pauly Shore recently with Pauly Shore playing Richard Simmons. There's kind of been this weird game where Pauly Shore wanted to do a biopic of Richard. Richard wouldn't kind of release the rights, and Pauly was very public about it. I don't know about that side of it, but I think it was done with a lot of love. And the short film, Jake Lewis is a very talented guy, and his team done with a lot of love. I think it's a great little piece out there. I think Jake Lewis has done a lot of great short films that have kind of gone viral or had some moments in the sun. And this is, I think, his best work. And it really captured a little bit of the joy and wonder of Richard Simmons. So yeah, it's sad. Time goes on for all of us. I know it. And 76 is both a long time and not long enough. And he's been out of the public eye, but I since 2014 by his choice, a choice I think I would make as well. He was unique. He was singular. And as a child of the 80s, just a big part of it. Just knowing who Richard Simmons was, knowing that exercise show where I think he showed up in a Mercedes-Benz in the opening intro. I just have fog. He was just always there. He's just always there. So a tip of the cap to someone who brought a lot of positivity into the world, whose fitness journey was his own, but he wanted to share it with everyone else. So there you go. Big Lou agrees. Big Lou says Richard Simmons on Whose Line is the best thing on the internet. There you go. Love it. So it's been, we're still going strong here. Not done. If you want to call in, you want to ask a question, I'm seeing some of them. I'll try to, if I missed a question, let me know. Mike Fink, though, did say this, Dr. Ruth passed away as well. And that's another character. She was a couple days ago. And of course, Dr. Ruth was looked at a little bit differently in my house than Richard Simmons. Even though, my mom might not have fully been aware who Richard Simmons was in terms of his complete lifestyle. But Dr. Ruth was, sex positive, sex counselor, sex therapist, not allowed in our house. So I knew of Dr. Ruth, but anytime I'd see like a clip of Dr. Ruth, or anytime Dr. Ruth was on a show or something, you're after school, you come home, you flip on the TV, and you're like hoping like you're watching MTV and VH1 for some video to kind of titillate you or change your worldview, or you'd flip to some Lifestyles Rich and Famous, whatever, and then you flip to some news interview, and if Dr. Ruth was on, I would stop and I'd watch, and I would be fascinated. I didn't always know what she was talking about, of course, but I'd be fascinated because it felt like I was sinning. I felt like I was getting away with something. Felt like I was saying something or watching and listening to something that my mom and dad would not want me to listen to. Dr. Ruth was a punk rock. She was a punk rocker to me. And sad to see her go as well. And long life there. There you go. Dr. Ruth, Big Lou's Clubhouses. Dr. Ruth was always a mic drop. Well, here you go. Mic drop. Hillbilly Scribs. Oh, come on. Hillbilly Scribs. If my ex hadn't taken the joy out of sex, this does. Oh, God bless you, Hillbilly Scribs. Hillbilly Scribs got his podcast coming back soon there. There we go. Dr. Wargod says, yes, and this was, Dr. Wargod says in chat here, for those listening on the podcast, I always got the message that sex is bad, exploring that in therapy now. Yeah, I didn't receive that message directly, but I definitely received that exploring it, that dealing with it, that trying to understand it. It was not something that was to be done, or at least done in a way that was outside the biblical way, the biblical path. And I always say this. I'm not here to criticize anyone with those beliefs or anyone who's stayed within that structure. I think they when they push it be outside of their boundaries, like a Tony Dungy pushes it outside their little family unit or their own soul, then that's where I have an issue with it. But do you is something I do believe in. But it was. I was put at a disadvantage. I was put at a disadvantage, and not fully. I'm not saying exploring it. And I'm not saying that. I have some friends who are like 14 years old, and most of them in other countries, who are 14 years old, and their parents came in the room and handed them a bowl of condoms and said, "Use these. Be careful. Have fun. We'll see you on the other side." I don't know if that's the answer. I don't honestly think it's less wrong than some of the abstinence is the only way, and if you're even taking care of business yourself on a hot shower on a summer day, you're going to hell then too. Like I think the bowl of condoms is more right than that, but again, to each their own. But I wish I had it. It wasn't. I wish I was raised a little bit more with the abilities to understand what sex and relationships and intimacy truly are. I didn't need my parents to sit down to explain it. I got the birds and the bees. I got the books too. I just wish it wasn't treated like some taboo thing. You know what I mean? Like that it wasn't, that even the idea of I was attracted to that person, when I revealed that there was a couple girls that I had crushes on, this is like 5th or 6th grade, right? Whether they be in my school or my church, it was treated poorly by my parents, who a lot of it was with good intentions, I will say. I'm trying to defend them a little bit here. This isn't a toss your parents out the window conversation, but there is, it didn't feel right. I felt embarrassed and shamed that, I have a crush on this girl. What do I do with that? They would tease me a little bit, which is, fine, I guess. But then they would just be kind of like, what you must stay away from her. like there was so much fear, especially as I got older, especially, once me as a human being had the ability to reproduce, once the gear package came in and the install was, the update was installed, and I could, there was a danger. And I understand, I don't take, that, I don't take that away from any parent who's like, I don't want you to, sire up my grandson at 14 or whatever. I understand that. But they went the other way and shut it down. And it's something to work there. And so, Dr. Wargod, I appreciate where you're coming from there. I understand it. Where, I didn't need my dad to take me to a bar and say, get a drink, get a girl. I had an uncle who since passed who like called my mom, and I was like 16 years old, and he was like, send your son down to me for a summer and I'll get him drunk and get him laid. And my mom, I heard it. I was like, this was like on a phone call, and my mom was like aghast, and how dare you? My son is a pure human. Like, no, like that's sinning. And I remember kind of thinking, well, give it a try. Let me do like a couple weeks. Let me just see how it goes. Let me try that out. And again, I'm not saying that was the answer, but I'm definitely saying shutting me down and locking me away was not the answer there as well. Big Lou. Big Lou says, I hooked up with more girls at church camp than one night, I think. There you go. Big Lou coming down here. I don't have the, I got to get, so there was an error happened on my Roadcaster, and it is since, I wanted to get that one for you. That was for you, Big Lou. But I had to reload a bunch of sound clips and everything on there. Of course, is just like my uncle. Yeah, Laser Ball. You understand? Different time, Laser Ball, right? Yeah. There you go. We got the background. If you're just joining me, thanks for hanging with me. What I will say is it's a weird show. I was 20 minutes out. And next thing you know, see the hashtag on Twitter. The hashtag, and then we got Biden speaks after shooting rally. I'll watch that. I don't want to play the sound in case it dings anything. And this is, I got to tell you, this is just, it's batshit. This is, it's pretty batshit, this whole situation. This is something. This is something that I think the history books are going to remember for many, many reasons. Biden campaign is going to pause TV ads and supporter messaging. You know Trump wouldn't do that. You absolutely know he wouldn't do that. We'll see. All right, I'm going to catch that up after we get off air, though. I won't play audio just because that will potentially mess up the stream. There we go. Big Lou. Haha. Thanks, buddy. You got it. Yeah. So anyways, thanks for hanging with me. It's the Blathering live on a Saturday night. This was going to be like a wilder, this is going to be Saturday night. Let's tee it up, tee it high, let it fly. And literally 20, and that's what I was starting to say. Sorry, this is why I blather. I was just sitting down, and I was getting things set up here, and I see on Twitter, again, I still call it Twitter. Sorry, Elon, you're never going to get that. I saw the hashtag Trump shot, and then below that, the hashtag assassination, and then the hashtag Trump got shot. And you're just like, you're looking at it, and I don't trust anything on that site anyways much, but it can still be a source of live breaking news. So I had that and I ignored it for 2 minutes. I just started getting prepped for the show. And then suddenly it was done. I was like, wait a second. What did I just see? And this horrible story unfolds in front of us here. So there you go. So we'll pivot a little bit, as Ken Plume wanted us to do earlier in the show. But I want to I want to talk about this stuff. I want to process it with you all in real time. And as I say, it's important. Laserbolt says, and then I saw on Twitter, our words I'll never say. Well, I think it's I know a lot of friends who either off Twitter or never been on it. I still think it's vital. It's unfortunately vital for my career, but it's still the place to go for live breaking news. No other platform has been reliable, and this is no longer reliable. But it used to be. That was the place to go. So that's one of the reasons I still go to it and still keep it. Anyways, if you got some questions, I'm not missing any super chats or anything on Twitch. I'm checking in on Twitch to make sure we're good there. Twinton's checking in on there. Says Twitch has been having some issues for me. Yeah, it's going now, but that was a little weird. Rich T's got a question. So let me also go back to this here so you can see my face. Rich T says, can I have a question about how you prepare for stand-up? Are there any jokes, topics you thought of when you began that you never used? Like if you haven't crafted them well enough? Yeah. There's always premises you write down, Post-it notes. Really, I have my notes section here on the old phone there. So I have tap that phone. Anyways, that's what I mean. Anyways, I have a lot of stuff here. I know you did. You're supposed to tap it. But I have a lot of stuff on there. And a lot of it's new ideas. Some of them work. You want to get them up on their feet. I don't do a ton of writing. Sometimes I just have ideas and I explore them when I can on stage. But in the past, I didn't have the chance to do that regularly. Right now, I kind of do. I'm having more opportunities. I did 2 shows last week in Seattle. I had a show last night. I have a show tomorrow night. I have a show next Saturday, and then I have a show next Thursday. For me, who doesn't go up a ton, Mark Ellis, I think averages maybe 2 to 3 times a night now. But when Mark was coming up, after he and I met and then kind of went our own separate ways for a while, Mark would get up 5, 6, 7 times a week. And when you're doing that, when you get that repetition in, it's not just about finding your voice, but you have a little bit more time and a little bit more leeway to explore new things. So when it comes to new things, I'm having a better time exploring them on stage like I like. There in Seattle, there are some things that emerged. I don't know if they're going to be bits that stay with me long, but they're bits I'm using now because they kind of came out of extemporaneous conversations with the audience. And that kind of works for me. As far as other things, I have changed this year. I have a set list. I have things I want to say and do. I have tried and true bits, but you don't want to lock in. You don't want to lock in, and you want to flow. The set list is a backup, and I'm getting better at that. There, Rich has a follow up. Says, anything you thought of 20 years ago, but haven't used yet too. No, it's hard to do that. There's things, I think one of the oldest jokes I have is a circa 2007 bit of a bit I do about, it's not even a bit, it's a one-off line about sonograms. That is an old school bit, and that's one of the oldest ones I do. There are some things I want to go back and maybe see with my new style, my new abilities on stage that I didn't have years ago, if I could do better. But what I have found too, other than time, I have a bit that was pretty good back in the day. This is like 05, 06 range. It was like an online dating bit about eHarmony and all the stuff, and how, grandmas and grandpas will be telling the story of how we met. And, was it highly inventive? No, I'm sure other comics were doing it. But at the time, for me, it worked. But I can't do it now. because online dating is the norm. That was not so much the case back then. But because I've left comedy and come back, what I've learned, and I'm back for good now, what I've learned is who you were as a comic 5, 10, 15 years ago is not who you are now, just like in life. So it's not who you are. And even if it's a successful bit, it might not hit with the same gusto. So a friend of mine came back to comedy not too long ago, and I saw one of his sets, and he brought back some of his material that he had done back when he and I first hung out doing stand-up. And that stuff back in 2005, 2006 was an automatic slay. It would kill any audience at any time. It was A+ material. So he'd come back, and he didn't bring all of it. He brought some of that stuff back, and it didn't work. And it was still funny. It was still the words were the same. His energy was the same, but it wasn't him anymore. It wasn't who he was. And his new stuff about his new life and kids and marriage and all that kind of stuff, that worked because that's who he is now. So, Rich, to your question too, yeah, I have things going back to even on my phone that are back to like 2017, might be the earliest that I started making notes on this phone here, and I look at them, and some of them aren't specific to me at that time. Some are general and life observations, but it's also how I deliver it now that's changed. So, stuff like that. Laserbolt says, how do comedians know that they're not stealing someone's joke when they write new stuff? It's always fair. And shout out to Troy, says, I like man soap, which is killing Troy. Troy, you saw the first time I did that, and it's killing. It's doing good. Laserbolt, this is a great question because you don't know. You don't know. And there is something to be said about there's only so many ideas to go around. So you want to try to make it unique. You want to try to put your own spin. You want to try to put your own words in it. Your own specific comedy can be in the details. But there's a lot of it. I had my big headlining show, which went well. We had a lot of fun. There was something I was going to do that another comic did. No fault of them. Just they did something else. And it's like, oh, I kind of can't approach my bit in the same way because we had kind of the same idea and the same thing. There's another thing. I saw a friend of mine interviewed here on the show in the past, Matt Knutson. He put out a clip on Instagram that was the same idea, the same philosophy behind a joke, that mine was different enough. He didn't take mine. I didn't take his clearly, but it was like, I have to find another way to do that there. What can also happen too, Rich T says, it's interesting you had to pivot on the fly. Yeah. So, if you're like last night. So last night I was at Flapper's main room, 10 p.m. The show started at 10 p.m. I got up at 11:45. I was the last scheduled comic. There was a comic that went after me, but I was the last scheduled comic. And you're watching 9 other comics before you. And some point, someone's going to hit something that's kind of close to what you say. And so if you're going to continue with it, you might call it out. Like Keenan was saying earlier, blank, blank, blank. But here's my take on it. It's a way to do it. Now, in terms of the question of not stealing someone's, if it comes to pass, there's kind of this unwritten rule, and I think it's kind of silly, but you can't stop it. There's an unwritten rule that if it gets to TV first, and this is an old rule, obviously I'm using TV. If it gets to TV first, it's that comic. Now you would say we get to social, and now you have I scroll on Instagram. I don't even go on TikTok. I scroll on Instagram, and I just see 1,000 comics posting their stuff, and so now I'll see similar premises to mine. But like I have my bit online about losing my virginity, and I have the very specific Star Wars reference. I am not the only comic to do losing his virginity late in life jokes. In fact, I often share the stage with another comic who does. And when he and I are on a show together, I'll try not to do mine because also he's a little bit more of a position in power and books a club that I work at. So I don't want to take away his thunder. But if it was specific, and you know it, a lot of times the community is close enough where you'll get told, and this hasn't happened to me, and I've not really seen it by other people, but you'll get told, hey, that's so-and-so's bit. Or, hey, you're doing, and then you kind of pull back, you change it, or you just stop doing it. And that's the reasoned way to handle it. I have seen it go bad. I had one friend who had a very specific NFL films bit, and it was great. It was what he was known for. And he would have the music would play, the announcer would come on. It was the NFL films. He'd have it play. He'd give it to the sound guy, and they'd play. And he'd do this whole thing where he'd reenact John Elway driving the Super Bowl, and it was his trademark bit. And then some other guys did it as at a sketch show, and it just so happened that friend and another friend were there, and it turned into a fight. It actually turned into a fight in the street, and I would not suggest that. That's the way to go. And I've also I had another friend. It's also weird, too. It's a weird ego thing, because I had another friend who claimed another comic stole his bit. But the truth of the matter was, my friend claiming that, and we're not really, I haven't spoken to him in years, but it was on his first album, all that kind of stuff. So it was his bit. But it was pretty universal. It was a relationship joke. And we were at a show, and a friend of ours who was, not as successful as comic, who didn't get up all the time, he did one. And that was not just similar, it was beat for beat similar. But I knew that guy. No one thought he stole the bit. It just was like, yeah, people have that's a bit you might do. It's about relationships. It's a universal thing. And my friend tried to fight him. My friend got up, stormed out, and the parking lot after that, they tried to fight each other. And it's like, no one needs that. So, and then you have the people who don't care. The tales of Carlos Mencia are really true. Dane Cook, great story that's been passed down. So how true it is, please don't quote me on it, but it's a story that's passed around a lot. A great comic, Dom Irrera, heard one of his bits on Dane Cook's album. Went up and talked to him. Didn't even confront him. Just said, "Hey, Dane, you my bit, my so and so bit's on your album." And Dane kind of laughed and went, Dom, that was the old album," and walked on. And Dom went, "Oh yeah, that's great." So wait a minute, he just admitted he took the bit, and that happens a lot. Famously, it just came up on social media. I know some people. It was a little bit of a kerfluffle. But Robin Williams used to steal a lot of bits. Robin was notorious for stealing comics bits. It's a thing. It was known, and the stories of it are legendary. But because of his state of mind, because of how he did comedy, and again, state of mind and things he was maybe doing at that time, he was not of a sound mind all the time. And it wasn't just doing a similar. He would see a comic do a bit, and then he would go up on stage and do it, and he would get confronted on it. But often when he found out the stories go, and you can look up some of the stories online. These aren't things I experienced directly, of course. He would feel bad. He would pay them money. He would maybe stop doing it, and that I can get, but. I know it came up. It came up recently because I think Joe Rogan said it. Joe Rogan kind of became news radio fear factor, and then confronting Carlos Mencia. The next thing you know, he has the biggest podcast in the world. And I think he was right to confront Carlos Mencia. I absolutely would stand behind Rogan on that one. Absolutely would stand behind Rogan on that one. He was right to do that. He said something about Robin Williams, and it got a lot of people upset. I'm not here to defend him saying it or not, but I'm here to tell you it was true. It was. Absolutely, it's just well known in the circles. So, but doesn't take away the genius that was Robin and the effect he had on so many lives. So, yeah, there you go. Stand-up stuff. We pivoted enough to stand up, and now we'll get some updates on this, on what they're calling an assassination attempt, and I think it's fair to call it that at that point. I think there's that goddamn photo. That's going to be the photo, man. That's gonna be on a t-shirt. Gonna be on a goddamn t-shirt. And it's sad that intent he was killed, man. Biden says, "I have an opinion, but I don't have any facts. Waiting for additional information before formally calling attack an attempted assassination of former president. I have an opinion, I don't have any facts." That's a fair answer. That's a fair answer. So maybe that should be my answer as well. Take some water here. All right, we're about ready to wrap up. because this is kind of all the time I intended to do on a Saturday night, and I kind of want to get more information. I don't want to buy echo frames. Thank you. I don't even, who wants echo frames? We'll get some more news on this. I'm going to spend some time looking at that. But if you guys have any final questions, thanks for hanging out. I just wanted to come back tonight and say, hey, we're not done. I love taking your calls. Anyone wants to call in for the other episodes, become a YouTube channel member here. You also get access to 20 Minutes of Coffee when we go live. And if Kingsport Cal is watching later on, the show, 20 Minutes of Coffee is not dead. It's not dead, all right? Just life really has gotten away in a lot of things. Some bad, some good. But I'm excited to hopefully do it actually this week and come back live here as well. Dr. Wargard says, Dr. Wargard has the question, should Biden drop out? I did want to answer that. Rich TS says, any comedians have stolen from you? Nah, not to my knowledge. So let's go back in time. Let's go back in time before I started this live stream and before this happened and talk about it as that. Going forward, like I said, I think this changes a lot of things. I just don't know what, right? I have an opinion. I don't have the facts. I'll say that. Where I was this week, and a complicated question, where I have been for the last couple of weeks, is no, I don't think he should drop out. And I think, Dr. Wargard, your question was, should he drop out and pass the torch to the next generation? I do think he should do that, and I maybe think he should have done that 16 to 18 months ago. There is still time to get a new candidate, so I'm not someone who is afraid of the conversation happening. I'm not someone who is afraid of ideas being floated around about changing candidates. I understand it. I watched the debate too, but I watched all the debate. I didn't turn it off after 10 minutes. And he got progressively better as the night went on. But it was bad. It was bad. And do I think he's too old overall? Yeah. Do I think Trump's too old overall? Yeah. And again, I don't think anyone's suggesting that Biden should drop out, from George Clooney on down to friends I know and love and respect. I don't think any one of them are suggesting that because they want Trump to win. I think they're doing it from the spirit of, like, I'm not there to condescend in that regard. I don't think that. I know these people. I know them well. They want Trump to lose, and they feel this is the best way to do it. I don't feel it's the best way to do it right now, because my biggest fear, and again, today has changed probably a lot of things, but my biggest fear is, even though I think there's a window now before the convention, and it's not completely unprecedented to do this kind of thing, I fear that the Republicans will find the way. I've been watching and reading some thoughts and talks. Again, I'm not an expert on this. That the Republicans would sue and do what they could to keep the new candidate off the ballots. Again, you might say, well, that's not reasonable, or that wouldn't actually happen, but I don't trust them not to. And I certainly don't trust the Supreme Court, if it gets that far, to rule in favor of the country as opposed to maybe one party. So that to me is a concern. I won't even call it a fear. That to me is a concern. Again, is it realistic? I don't know. But is it probable? And is it possible in terms of causing problems? Yes. Yes. So I am of the mind, get the win, get the Duke. I have not been a Democrat my whole life. Technically, again, as I always say, I want to be clear, registered independent. But I'm a Democrat. I'm a Democrat socialist, if anything, right now. But I was a Republican. I was a Bush voting, McCain voting, Romney voting Republican. And these are the moments in which I would sit around at break rooms with my cop buddies, and we would make fun of the Democrats, right? Even when they won. Even when Obama won, we would still make fun of them. Because that was supposed to be Hillary in 2008. She was going to be crowned queen. Obama says, they tell Obama not to run. He says he's going to. Bernie in 2016. We would laugh. Now, by 2012, 2014, 2016, I'm definitely no longer Republican. But we would sit around and make fun of them. At work. Would make fun of Democrats. There is no unity. There's no team. There's no circling the wagons. There's no huddling up to get the Duke, to get the win. Project 2025 is a concern. It's been in place for a long time. Heritage Foundation, everything. Pre-Reagan, this stuff on how to, let's buddy up to the right. Let's buddy up to the gun activists. Let's make that up. You can't separate those issues. This has been a long play. And in 84, you look back and read the reports and read the history books, Reagan was showing signs already of what would eventually plague him, which is Alzheimer's. he was already horrible, historically bad first debate with Mondale. Didn't stop him. So the questions to me aren't bad. I'm not afraid to have the conversation. I don't know who the names are. I think the vice president would be the choice. I think that's the right choice if you're going to make this decision on the fly. I know there's some polls that maybe show they'd be in a better spot. I don't know if I always trust polls, but I think this administration needs to get the win. But my other fear here, again, not counting today, which has going to change maybe some of the conversations. I don't know. Again, I'm not a pundit on CNN. But I don't know the plan. I don't know the names, and I need to know that. Maybe that's what needs to happen. What is the Democratic Project 2025? Who are the people? A friend of mine, I won't pull him into the conversation. He said, what is our 20-year plan to get someone like Marcus Flowers into the White House? What is that plan? Do we have it? And does it need to be public? We don't know. But I'd rather feel that's in play than a panic button press, which this isn't a new question, right? And Biden did say running into 2020, like, I'll pass the torch. He has said, his team has said, here's, well, Trump's still here and I'm going to finish the job. That's a political talking point. But I do fear, my final point, I do fear the damage has already been done. Not counting today. Man, this is a conversation, not counting today's tragic events. But I think the damage has already been done because the people who are not following along, the people who just kind of get their news from a Twitter headline or a neighbor or the guy at the store, they're going to think, oh, is Biden senile, right? He's not really there, right? I don't know that for my own self. I just heard someone saying it. They want him to drop out. He's not the choice. And that's where I fear the damage has already been done. That's where I fear. So, but again, that is one man's beanie wearing opinion. So it means all it is. Kate Van D says all I can do is vote, and for me, that's actually very. I still believe in that power. I still believe in that power, and I have been one. I've been on record as saying it. That the only true way to defeat Donald Trump and his potential administration and those like him in the Republican Party is via the vote. And even after today, I hope that's clear. That's the only way to do it. So, we'll see. But there's some rising stars on the Democratic side. I don't know if they're presidential yet. I'm a big fan of Jasmine Crockett. Mallory McMorrow, who's on the local level up in Michigan, I follow her. I love everything she does and says. Buttigieg is someone I like. I like VP Harris. I don't think Newsom. I live in California. I like everything Newsom says in a debate. He's got too much baggage to win. Katie Porter's one I liked. She kind of got the whole stuff with what's his name, Schiff and everything. It's all there. So, I've even come around a little bit. I used to not be an AOC fan, but I think she's grown and matured, which is what you need. You need that in a leader. But we're far off from that. Hakeem Jeffries is someone I'm interested too. I love listening to him talk. But what is the plan? And I know you won't. You're not going to maybe publicly anoint someone and say, here's the heir apparent, like a Jedi master, Jedi knight to a Padawan. But that's the Republicans are here to win. And even Reagan showing signs of senility in 1984 was not going to deter them. I'd love to see that. But not to say I watched the debate too. That's my final thing too. I watched it too. And you guys, I had it streaming here live. One of the reasons I ended my stream early is I was watching out of the corner of my eye and I kind of went, oh, uh-oh. And I wanted to go see for myself what was going on. And I watched almost the end. I watched it past 7:30. I forget how long it went. So, Dr. Wargard says, do you feel like in California vote doesn't matter because it's going to go Dem anyway? No, I always vote. I always want to say, but also I'm and I know, I'm sure you are too, Wargard. I'm a down ballot voter. I try to do the best I can to research everyone all the way down. I even follow along in Burbank. My cousin runs the political campaigns for Democratic candidates in Burbank and Glendale, and one who's actually going for Congress, Laura Friedman. Some interest there. A state senator, Caroline Menjivar, who actually serves this district that I'm in here. She worked for me. She used to work for me. So I actually had some early talks when she was running to try to do some fundraising stuff for her, but she thankfully didn't need it. So yeah, that's where I'm more interested. But in terms of presidential, I'm going to vote. I'll let the rest of it figure it out. You know, school boards, all the stuff, even stuff I don't fully understand. And there you go. All right, I'm losing my voice. Been a weird day. I want to thank you all for hanging through here. Some housekeeping on the way out. If you're going to be down for San Diego Comic-Con, I'll talk about San Diego Comic-Con next week. I was going to talk about some San Diego Comic-Con memories. Seems a little trite today. We'll be talking about that. But July 25th, I think for like the 6th or 7th year in a row, we do Mark Ellis and Friends, Mark Ellis Live at American Comedy Company, one of my favorite comedy clubs to perform at. I don't know the full lineup yet, but good people will be there. Also, on August 16th, please get ready to watch this wonderful variety show, Horror Years Old, a fun comedy variety show about aging from Joseph Scrimshaw. He celebrates a big birthday. Got great guests. Laser the Boy, who is hilarious, insightful, and poignant. He will be performing. Me, I'll be doing some stand-up. Audrey Kearns and the great Hal Lublin. And the great Audrey Kearns. She's wonderful as well. Former Force Center guest. Audrey and Hal Lublin will be doing some comedy as well. And then some great stuff from Joseph Scrimshaw. And if you've never had the chance to see Joseph stand-up or performances, he does do stand-up, to be clear, but he also has a style that's above and unique in its own way. More of a one-man performance. It's beautiful stuff. It's great stuff, and it's hilarious. Joseph's one of the funniest guys out there, too, as well as one of the best Force Center commentators. Don't forget to check out my shop. I'm still selling some items like Funko Pops. I got What Ahsoka left. Also, signed copies of my book are available as well. Patreon page is where you can get the Young Guns movie commentary, and I am planning to do Young Guns 2 next month. Don't you worry about that. All right, so thank you all for hanging with me. Corey says, come to Minneapolis. We'd love to. I'd love to. There you go. That's it. We're having a lot of fun as best we can in this crazy world. Thank you all for hanging out with me. We will do it again. Bye.